Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today, sitting down to talk about Starfield's delay. Now, much has been said about this, positively, negatively, right down the middle. I want to offer my more definitive stance on things because while I did dip into the topic a bit during our Starfield release date reaction video, I thought to myself, you know what? Emotions were high, Matty was having a good old party. Let's come in a little more objectively and have a conversation on this delay, and should people be upset or not. So if you're new here and you're into Starfield news, information, deep dives, and that type of stuff, you're in the right place. Consider subscribing. We just put up a deep dive on the newest Starfield trailer. We also had a conversation reacting to the release date. So let's get into all of that a little bit more, shall we? But before we dive into any of that, a quick word from today's sponsor. This video is brought to you by Star Trek Timelines. Welcome to the Starfleet, Captain. Join up and embark on an adventure through space and time by saving the galaxy from temporal anomalies and enjoying some action-packed 3D ship battles while you're at it. Look, if you're a Star Trek fan, you're gonna love this game. Not only is it the ultimate strategy role-playing and interactive mobile game for Star Trek fans, but you're also gonna find your favorite characters here, like Spock, Picard, Captain Kirk, and so on. It's all free to play and available on all devices like iOS, Android, Windows, Steam, and so on. You're going to become the captain and take command of your own starship to explore deep space. As you're going through the game, you're going to need to assemble your own crew and send them on missions. So what are you going to use? Of course, iconic starships like the USS Enterprise and Voyager. Come on now. Now you're going to take part in legendary PvP and PvE battles that are going to put your captain skills to the test. But that's why you're going to go and complete those missions, those ship battles. You're going to level up. You're going to collect your captain's rewards, unlock those new characters and more rewards by completing your daily missions and participating in campaigns featured in the event hub daily. As you gain experience by participating in these events and influencing factions and ranking up in the leaderboards, you're gonna just keep unlocking new rewards. It's so great. So invite your friends, create or join a fleet, and participate in daily and weekly events to share bonuses. If all of that sounds great to you, then download the game by clicking the link at the top of the description right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I am personally not upset at all about Starfield's delay. In fact, I am extremely supportive of that. Now, with that in mind, does that mean that everyone needs to follow my lead and not be upset at all? No. And I'm here to tell you that I understand your frustration, but I'm going to try to explain you at least somewhat out of it. Not to protect Bethesda, not to protect Xbox, but more so, I just feel this might be one of the more misunderstood delays, if you will. Allow me to explain, but first I want to address why people are rightfully upset. We heard about Starfield for the first time. Depending on how long you've been tracking it, it could actually be back to the trademarks that we discovered many years ago. But really, on an official level, we discovered Starfield with the announcement teaser during Fallout 76's reveal. Bethesda's preventative measures to effectively say, hey, we're not always doing live service. Our next game is our typical big single-player RPG, and they've lived up to that promise. With that, we've seen Starfield a lot. 2 consecutive summer showcases, a massive delay out of 2022. Now we're in 2023. Xbox makes the promise during last showcase. Everything you're seeing during this showcase will be out by next June, the 12-month commitment, that self-binding statement. And Starfield is going to miss out on that commitment as it's been pushed back to September 6th of this year. So combine all of the anticipation and Xbox's promises and the missed delivery multiple times, and people are rightfully upset. Xbox missed their promise, Bethesda missed their promise. There is accountability there. Now, I said that I think it's a bit of a misunderstood delay, and I'm gonna get into why I'm personally not upset about it. Again, does that mean you have to follow my lead? No, but I think some people may understand where I'm coming from once I'm done talking about all this. So first and foremost is Bethesda Game Studios' behavior change. After we saw what happened with Fallout 76, and it speaks for itself, they probably don't want another situation like that, where it did end up damaging their personal brand. So in order to try to make sure that doesn't happen again, your next project you should take as much time as possible on. And I imagine this will be much of the same for CD Projekt Red. Even though I loved Cyberpunk 2077 at launch and had actually a legitimately good experience, it wasn't great for a lot of people, unfortunately so. And so I imagine with CD Projekt Red's next game, whenever that new Witcher game or whatever comes around, they are going to make doubly sure that the quality is there and delay if they must. Now, when it comes to Bethesda's behavior, here's a little fun fact. Barring any DLC, so you can put a little asterisk next to this, they haven't really delayed any major mainline releases outside of Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. This is the first time since then they've done that. this is significant because, of course, we've talked about how 76 could have used a delay or two, but when it comes to other Bethesda Game Studios games, the way they really developed their name in the industry was being this almost superhuman-like studio where they were a sub 100 person team that was making these gargantuan open worlds that were highly interactive with tons of quest lines, tons of reactivity, and they were taking the industry by storm while teams much bigger than them were making far more underwhelming projects. It was a phenomenon, unlike anything we've seen before. Now, as we get deeper into game development, into future technology, things change and become more complex and expensive. Because of that, Starfield, a game that's showing clear ambition, is going to take even longer. And it's going to require some, we'll say, out of character behavior from Bethesda Game Studios, aka multiple delays. They need to get this one right for multiple reasons. We'll lean into that in a moment here beyond just my personal desires. For Bethesda to have the best possible game, I think the rationale here is, look, we typically never delay games. This is actually a rare thing for them. Is it rare for the rest of the industry? No, delays happen all the time, and understandably so. And right now, we're swimming in so much content that for me, I personally, and you may not carry the same energy, welcome the delays. Bring them on. I got plenty of other stuff in my backlog. I got plenty of other new content coming out. Bring on the delays. I can wait. That's not the case for everyone, so I'm not going to act like that's a part of my argument, but that's just the energy I'm carrying beyond I want Starfield to be the best possible game. So number one is Bethesda Game Studios' behavior is changing, and I think for the better. They had a mistake. They're learning from the mistake as any human should, and they are moving forward in the right way and taking time. And this would be a bit different if the changes weren't noticeable. But even in this off-screen gameplay we see during the release date trailer, things like the animations for the jetpacks, for sprinting, for gunplay look far cleaner than anything we saw at the Xbox 2022 showcase. And again, this is from a bird's eye view, if you will, with the gameplay being over Todd Howard's shoulder. I think that's encouraging on its own. And more than anything is that now we're seeing Bethesda Game Studios do things that they've never done before. Like vehicles, they're never in BGS games. The only thing you could say was there is the horse in Skyrim. You could get the horse in Oblivion. You could ride the horseback. That's about as far as vehicles went in a Bethesda Game Studios game. Otherwise, this flying in space, traversal in space is unlike anything they've done before. You're expanding the settlement mode. Now you have this top-down camera view. You have thousands of planets. You have handcrafted content that they're claiming is more than any other game. Ambitious games do come at a cost. For the companies, it costs a lot of money, of course. It's a higher risk. And for the audience, I think the cost is you have to accept delays are going to happen. You can quote me on this one. I personally believe that Starfield will be that next Elden Ring moment for our industry. Everyone's going to be talking about it, and everyone's going to be playing it. For better or for worse, we will see. Of course, I want to wait till I get my hands on the game to say that definitively, but make no mistake, I think everyone's going to be making a quick pit stop for Starfield. So that's the behavioral part of things. That's part one of why I'm personally not concerned as someone who's covered Bethesda for well over a decade. Part two actually goes into Bethesda as a whole. We have to look at them as a company. Granted, they're underneath the Xbox banner, but right now when you look at Bethesda, they are hard carrying 2023 for Xbox. We have Hi-Fi Rush, absolute excellence at the top of the year in the form of a shadow drop, and it's been extremely successful with 2 million plus players. Now, we're likely soon, and this is an assumption on my part, getting Ghostwire Tokyo for Xbox. Smaller deal for some, but still a new launch for Bethesda. Something you want to market, make available, and make it a big deal on Game Pass probably. More importantly for folks, I imagine, is Redfall in May. So now you've got 3 major launches in the first half of the year, and if you're Bethesda, does it make a lot of sense for you to say, because Xbox said so, stuff Starfield in right behind Redfall when Redfall has the potential to blow up, right? No. Pace it out. You have an abundance of riches, if you will. Spread it out, because we're not accounting for little things like Fallout 4's next-gen update. We'll take, for example, what's id working on? What's Machine Games working on? These are things that we need to consider in the broader year, where Starfield for Bethesda, maybe not Xbox, but for Bethesda, can actually be spread out to a date that not only fits their personal timeline and lets their games be healthy with spaced out releases, but also gives a very ambitious project the extra time it needs to polish it to a shine. Why is that important? I don't think I need to spell it out, but following the acquisition of Bethesda, it's very clear that Starfield is the game Xbox has very much attached itself to and said, okay, this is our game and it is the one that's generating the most hype. We need to prove to future investors, we need to prove to future acquisitions, when you partner with Xbox, we make your game the absolute best, the most played, so you want to come work with us. Make no mistake, that is absolutely the mindset. And I know you shouldn't speak so affirmatively about such speculation, but come on, it writes itself out for you. This is a huge investment for them. It's the biggest IP running for Xbox right now in the terms of hype. And don't get me wrong, there are going to be games like Fable and Avowed and so on that are going to generate equal amounts, if not more hype. But right now, it's Starfield that they're going to build their brand around and say, like, this is our moment, right? To start catching up to PlayStation and the fantastic exclusives that they drop. With Xbox wanting to build their brand around this, that requires time. So to me, again, a delay doesn't signal to me, oh God, what's going on over there? It signals exactly what I was expecting. You have an ambitious project that needs time. You're going to build your brand around it. You need time to market that and make it an Xbox product. So again, beyond any of my personal desires for the game, behavior-wise, with Bethesda as a studio, with Bethesda as an overall brand, and Xbox as a brand, that release date lines up, because this needs to be polished to a shine because it's a statement video game. It's not just another drop. If Hellblade rules but Starfield sucks, I hate to say it, but I think more people are going to end up talking about Starfield sucking. I hate to say that, not because Hellblade is less important, just that is the way of the internet, sadly. I wish it weren't so, but we know how these things go. And with all that comes the element that I don't think many consider really in any delay conversation, the human element. So I'm not going to dive too much into it like I'm an absolute expert on things, because I am still relatively new. But I have been working on a video game really in full for about a year now, but prototyping things and working with a team of now a total of 7 for about 2 years. So I'd like to say I have some level of experience, but I'm not going to say my experience as a developer is the same as Bethesda Game Studios' experience as a developer, and it's not the same across all teams. They all function differently, but I think one thing's consistent if you're at least a decent leader, and it's that you want to think about the well-being of your team. Now, I'm sure Starfield probably could make it out by June if they really wanted it. Crunch down hard, nose to the grindstone, all hands on deck, call in the support studios, all that stuff. I'm sure if they wanted it out in June, they could probably figure that one out. But is the team's well-being worth that? And this is where we get into that pro dev versus pro release argument that gamers love to have. I'm pro dev. I want to take care of the people making the wonderful experiences for us. So to me, that's what matters most. And that definitely has been enhanced as I work with a team of my own. To see the hard work that goes into a game and know how goddamn difficult it is, yeah, I will always prioritize the team's well-being, because what people don't think about when you start a project up, you're always thinking end result. Like, how do we get to the end of this? What is that picture gonna look like? But what people don't figure out in between is life will happen, you have mental health issues, you get sick, family matters, I have a vacation, etc., etc. Things happen, deadlines move. This is humanity. This is normal. And they're always constantly shifting. Starfield probably being one of the best cases of it if you paid attention to the rumors. It's April, it's June, it's actually gonna be maybe in July. No, it's September, it's November. That's all we heard about release dates. And it could have probably been any number of these, right? But the well-being of the team, I think, wins the day. If you're Microsoft and you are, quote, all in on gaming, your job as caretaker, as investor, as well as Bethesda as a whole, is to take a real look at these companies and go, what can we do as the richest tech company in the world to make the most prestigious premium products available that are profitable, that enhance Game Pass, that drive subscribers, but do not deteriorate life? That is how they should be looking at it. Is that how they're looking at it? At least for Starfield, that's the vibe I'm getting. Because again, this is a statement game. So that's where all of this, I believe, comes from. It's a lot of components going into it, but I see a lot of YouTubers and tweets going, what's wrong with the game? And fair play. Maybe there is something wrong with it and I could end up looking foolish. I think I have no issue holding my L's. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I have no problem sticking my neck out a little bit and saying, hold up, we actually might be just overreacting a smidge here. But it goes back to Fallout 76. I don't feel very comfortable seeing people having inconsistent energy. I think you can say a lot of things about my channel. You can say a lot of things about my content, and I'm not going to argue and debate you. But one thing I always try to do is be consistent. I found it disappointing how 76 launched, and I wish Bethesda delayed it. Therefore, I'm not going to be disappointed when their next ambitious project comes up in Starfield and they delay it. So I don't understand how people on YouTube and social media are going out and complaining about Starfield's delay when we saw what happened before our very eyes with not just any Bethesda Game Studios product, but also other games across the industry when we don't delay. There is that urgency to get the game out. But what do we say about Cyberpunk? Do we forget that so soon because the next gen update is out in the wild and because it's been patched a lot and CD Projekt Red hung with it and Edge Runners was rad? Do we forget how it launched and that we all wish that the members on the board at CD Projekt Red didn't rush it, right? So why isn't that energy here is what I gotta ask. And I'm not like that. You know me, I'm not really super contentious. I'm like, here's my opinion, take it or leave it. I don't really care. But this is something that needs to be talked about. Why are we approaching Starfield like it's gotta come out in June? Because Xbox made a weird self-binding statement? That's their problem, because with games like Fable, State of Decay 3, Avowed, Contraband, Perfect Dark, I mean, the list goes on. They had a problem with pre-announcing things. So I get why they said, all right, put ourselves on the leash here. We are not announcing anything beyond a year. I get it, right? They want to make sure that they don't get a little too crazy here. And the only things that are pre-announced, if you will, way ahead of time are like the Kojima Partnership. Perfect. I love the mindset. I get where Xbox is at. I 100% understand it. It's reasonable on all fronts. But I don't think that Bethesda should catch the smoke for making the right choice with their product, with their release schedule, and the ambition behind it, which, by the way, these delays will not hurt the sales of it. I have full confidence in that. Because Xbox said during a showcase, everything's coming out in the next 12 months. I did a little bit of research because I thought, okay, well, let's see just how many are missing. As it stands right now, there are 13 games that have come out in that 1 year window. We still have 3 months remaining. There are also 5 that are dated for before June of 2023, like Redfall, Minecraft Legends. There's also games like Flintlock, which are early 2023 currently, and we'll see if that holds up. There are still most of the games hitting that window, but the ones that are missing are some of the significant ones, and they still do have a chance, like Hollow Knight Silksong. But Xbox is missing their own deadline with Forza, and Bethesda's missing the deadline with Starfield. That stuff stings for that ecosystem. So again, I'm not here to disavow your frustrations and say, how dare you be upset, but to kind of bring some perspective in here and say, let's take an honest look at where we're going, where we want to end up, and how forcing this game out clearly wouldn't work. Because what would be the real talk of the town is, it comes out in June, here come YouTubers like me. Man, why didn't they delay it? Because the other thing, and the last point I'll make, I'm sorry, I'm going on so long here, but we haven't really seen the fully updated look at Starfield, where, and we got to take Todd Howard's word at face value here, but he did say during the release date trailer, it's got all the hallmarks of a Bethesda Game Studios game, which I think we've seen for our own eyes, but he also said there's a lot of things here that are unique. I know people have been critical of Todd Howard in the past, like, oh, you sweet little lies and all that crap. I get it. You know, the 16 times the detail thing will probably haunt him till his grave. But look, ladies and gentlemen, to me, that didn't scream Todd hyperbole. Like, a man has learned his lesson. He's just saying there's a lot of unique things to this that make it different. And I don't think we've seen that, where when you look at a game doing space travel, the exploration, the crafting systems, all the new assets that have to be built, next gen only, the list goes on, and there's still stuff that we may have yet to discover. I feel a lot of people going, man, they delayed it again. What's wrong? What's going on? Might be eating their words by June. We'll see. Again, I hold my L's. I'll happily be wrong because I think the conversation is more important. But we need to take a good, hard, honest look at where Starfield is and recognize that, in my opinion, and you may disagree, they have done the right thing by delaying it. I will say, if I were to be a betting man, I would imagine Xbox saying, all right, Bethesda, we took the fall for you last year while everyone blasted us for not having any games in the holiday. You got till holiday of next year. And I think that is where the conversation ended. So they said, aim for this June. You need more time? No problem. September. And none of this will matter. This video will be a thing of the past that no one will ever circle back to if Starfield comes out and it's good. And that's what the ultimate goal is here. Games don't get worse with delays. So that is where I stand on things. And I'm really looking forward to seeing your thoughts. Again, you're welcome to disagree with me. I am not here to create a hug box where you gotta tell me the exact thoughts I am speaking out to you right now. I just ask that you be respectful about your disagreement. So what do you make of Starfield's delay? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you make of what I brought to the table? I'm really looking forward to seeing your thoughts, so please do fire away. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the heck out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.